Today we are at the 2022 CMPX show and we have a great conversation, something that we're all very passionate about. And I really want to talk about why it's so important today to inspire and educate young people to get into a skilled trade. I'm really glad to have both of you here to talk today to me. Okay, Jamie, let's start with you. Talk a little bit about your history in the trades as well as KickAss Career, because I'm now an ambassador for KickAss Career, and I'm super excited about that because we met about, 4 years ago the first time. We had dinner together because it really inspired what you were doing for the industry. Now, I'm a part of the team, which I'm super excited about. So let's hear a little bit about Jamie McMillian and KickAss Careers.
For sure. So the first thing I'm going to say is I was absolutely blown away when you messaged me about being on the team, because I'm like, oh. Anyways, it was awesome. So thank you for being on the team. So KickAss Careers came about because I remember being young in grade school, being picked on and bullied for having learning disabilities and really bad ADHD. I ended up being a high school dropout, and I spent lots of years trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I ended up doing what my parents wanted me to do and went back as a mature student into healthcare, which was beneficial for a short time, but not a long time. I discovered the trades kind of by mistake later on in life, and I ended up going onto the job site not knowing at all what an ironworker was and learning while I was earning, which was really awesome with an apprenticeship. But I started to recognize that there was very few women in the construction industry, and this is before social media, so we didn't have a way to connect at all. So as far as I knew, there was 2 women in construction, and we were both on the one job site. And so I became passionate first about promoting women in trades, and then as it evolved, it turned into just an effort to get youth or anyone who would listen into skilled trades, because these are honestly kick-ass careers.
Yeah. And so when did KickAss Careers start? When was it spawned? When did it develop?
So the idea started in my head. I started advocating in 2007 with Skills Ontario,
Wow.
and then by the time 2012 came along, and I started an organization called Journeyman that was specifically for women. The O was a Venus symbol, and I believe it's a status, not a gender, so I'm very proud of that status. In 2014 is when I evolved into promoting to all youth, because I felt that it was really important that the boys see that the girls were in the trade. So don't just segregate the boys and bring the girls to see women speaking about trades. Bring the boys so they can see that. Yeah. And then I wanted to change the brand because it was no longer a focus on young girls. So a Catholic school board from Fenelon Falls came up with the name KickAss Careers in 2014, and it's stayed that way since.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you. That's really impressive because I've been following you for many years, and I just see the brand continue to grow. So that's an amazing story. Brandy, why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey in the trades, and how did you find KickAss Careers, and what do you think younger people getting into the trades?
Yeah, actually, my journey was a bit of a zigzag. It was a second career, like Jamie. And in fact, my father was an electrician, although I was encouraged to go to university, which I did. And I quickly gave my parents their very expensive degree. And I just worked in a bar for like a decade. And always helping my dad out, wanting to work with my hands. A lot of the people I knew and my friends were tradesmen. And I loved hearing about their days. They were so excited. But like Jamie said, there was never that face for a woman to do that type of a job. So I started in a Women in Skilled Trades program when I was 32. This was around 2004 or 5. And from there it grew. I went and got out of that 10-month program. I had the worst first residential renos job, got my gas ticket at night, and it started off from there. And actually I started a plumbing apprenticeship first, and after competing at Skills Canada, I was actually the first woman to ever compete in the gas program. I got picked up by a recruiter from Johnson Controls, and they gave me my 313A apprenticeship.
Wow.
So it definitely wasn't a straight path, but I was constantly making progress and finding my way.
I love that. And you say you got your gas fitter license from Nate. So did I. What a coincidence. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think it is important that what Jamie's doing. It's like that stigma that used to be there. I know when I was in high school, the trades were the lesser job. In fact, it was like, I remember passing the vocational school on the way to my high school, and if you had a learning disability or whatnot, they were like, oh, that's where the trades kids go. It was always kind of like there was this stigma that was associated with it. But let's face it, you have to be pretty smart to be a tradesperson. Yeah. It is definitely the other 4-year degree. And I think like educating parents about the opportunities that are out there for their children in the skilled trades is so important. I mean, let's face it, very shortly in Ontario, 48% of the jobs will be skilled trades.
Wow.
You know, so I mean, it's
That's a huge statistic.
It's huge. And you come out, you know, I remember how long it took me to pay off that university debt for a degree that I never used.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Oh. Your story, both your stories sound similar to my story, because that's what I did. I went to university, the same thing, and got a diploma and stuff, and spent all this money, you know, to get this. Well, I didn't spend it. I borrowed all this money,
Yes.
and then took me 10 years to pay it off because I went into a trade to pay it off. So what are some of the things that you do at KickAss Career to really help motivate younger people to think about trade, and maybe parents as well, Jamie?
Absolutely. So I've been doing this now for several years, and through KickAss Careers, I have lined up with people like Skills Ontario, the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program, and I started speaking to students in schools, and then evolved my presentations based on the advice that I received back from the students and the educators. And next thing you know, they were inviting me to do parent-student nights, and then it was basically focused on high school in the beginning, and then all of a sudden they started bringing me into younger and younger schools, and then we started to think about how are we going to engage these younger students. So then I got together with my business partner, Pat Williams, who lives down in California, and we got together with another artist, and we came up with All the Kids on Builder Street coloring books. So now those coloring books are targeting pre-kindergarten to about grade 5, and then we have presentations that are set up for every single level. And then all of a sudden one day I just get, actually I think one of the very big keynotes I did was in the HVAC industry, and I got invited down to Las Vegas to go do a talk about recruiting kids into the industry. And then I thought, oh wow, I can talk to employers as well. And it just kind of expanded from there, and it's gotten to a point where it's really busy. And I never wanted to be this face in the industry of somebody that was recruiting. I always wanted to have a team. And so I started putting it out there and saying, hey, I've got all these educators that are interested in having real, authentic, credible tradespeople come and talk. And we just started developing a team, because I really feel that when you want to inspire other people to get into the skilled trades, it's good to talk with authenticity and credibility. And that's what KickAss Careers is about. It's about taking the real people in the trades that can talk to the trades, not just point to the trades. Yes. And kids need to see that.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that. Brandy, what are some of the things that you do to really inspire young people to get into the trades? Because I know over the years I had a few mentors and a few coaches, and some days, you know, are really good and some days can be really frustrating. But what are some of the things that you try to focus on to help younger people to get into the trades?
Well, pretty much from the very beginning of my career, once I was signed up with my first apprenticeship, I started going back to Women in Skilled Trades programs as a graduate who is successfully now an apprentice working in the trades. And I would speak to that class because I remember being back in that Women in Skilled Trades class, and you're like, really? Like, is this really going to turn into anything, or is this just like, you know, fluff? So, you know, it was great to go back and speak to the women at that time and let them know that there definitely was viable opportunities for us in the industry. And moving forward in my career, I've done so many events working with younger kids, 15 and 16 years old in high school. Jill of All Trades is a great event that Conestoga College used to put on. And we would actually bust in school loads of young women who had never put their hands on a tool before. And we'd set up different shops for them. So they would be soldering pipe, they'd be working with gantries and rigging, tons, climbing poles outside, operating heavy machinery. And I mean, and that in itself, just to see them light up when they get on the equipment really inspired me to kind of keep going with that effort. And yeah, and so for a long time, I guess forever almost, until very recently, I've just volunteered my time to be available to speak at these events.
Wow.
And like
Good
let people and parents know like what really is out there for their children and what a career in the skilled trades can really look like.
That is amazing. When you did this, what did you see? Did kids reach out to you afterwards, after they were there, to ask you questions more, like well, Brandy, how do I get more involved? What's the process for a young student to do that?
Absolutely. Like that, even if only one came up to me at the end of an event, it would light me up inside. Like it made it all worth it. In fact, I'll never forget one of the Skills Ontario's event. I had a young girl come up to me, and she was the first one that ever was like, I want to be an HVAC mechanic. And I almost wanted to break down into tears. And it's great to kind of, and that's the thing too, like the apprenticeship process is kind of a black hole for a lot of people. They don't understand how it works. How do I get in? What does it mean to be signed up? All of that stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, I've just made myself available with my information for people to reach out. And also be available to other young women that before mentorship was a thing and before social media was as big as it is now with our communities, just to let other young women know that, I was there for them if they needed a shoulder to vent on at the end of a bad day. So, and kind of doing things like that, I think it's really, I seeing all the social media groups, I think is great these days because it does give more of a voice and a presence for support. And more recently, I've teamed up with Support Ontario Youth. So I'm actually an HVAC mentor for them, as well as I mentor their women in skilled trades. So, we're starting, they run boot camps and stuff like that. And the same thing, we're kind of bringing the trades out to people wherever they live and getting young people exposed to the trades.
Oh, wow. That's very impressive. So really, how does that work? How would someone get into touch with you about that?
Yeah, you can go to the Support Ontario Youth website.
Okay.
And actually there is a ton of information. They talk about the scholarships that are available and the funding,
Awesome.
as well as where their boot camps are running. So
That's
they
amazing.
they kind of have a cool little trailer set up, and they just take off across the province.
Wow,
And,
that's really
and have
impressive.
these little mobile boot camps set up for plumbing, and HVAC will be a new one coming soon.
Awesome.
Yeah, they just
That's-
started their HVAC program in October of 2021.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I love hearing that. I love that. Inspires me that there's people out there wanting to give back and wanting to help the industry grow. I want to get back to you, Jamie. There was a question that you said, you started with high school students and then you're starting to move more into grade school students. What is the difference? How do you change the talk when you're talking to high school students than when you're talking to grade school students? Because that has to be a bit of a challenge.
It's interesting because I don't know how I got the natural ability to be able to deliver the exact same presentation to a high school student and turn around and deliver that exact same presentation to an elementary student that afternoon, and then talk to adults and do the same presentation again to adults that night. I have no idea how I developed the ability to do it. But a long time ago, I was at a Skills Ontario event and I met this woman there who was doing a workshop, and she started talking to us about how to speak to younger students. And I found it very interesting because a lot of students have no idea what's an HVAC technician, what's an iron worker. I've had kids ask me if I iron clothes for a living, and I'm like, no. So how do you explain a skilled trade and make it really cool to a kid? So when Alicia was talking to us, she says, if you had to explain your job to a kid, what would you say? What's something that you build that a kid would love? And I had to think about it for a minute. I'm like, well, roller coasters. Ironworkers build roller coasters. So I'm telling kids, we build roller coasters. And then now all of a sudden they're like, what? Do you get to ride them at the same time? And then you just find these different ways to connect the lines. Think like a kid and try to imagine, if you were them, how would you want to hear the presentation? And also, one of the things that I do that's really engaging is that I bring all my personal tools and equipment when I get to do presentations. Virtually, I dress up in it, but I'll get kids dressed up in my gear. So I'll have a student that's in grade 3 dressed up in my great big huge coveralls, and they're dragging behind the floor, and just stuff that engages the kids. You just have to learn their language and think back to when you were a kid and how would you want somebody to explain something to you.
That's
and
amazing.
having kids tell you how to do it too.
Yeah.
I ask the kids, how would you explain this? And they tell me, and then I put that into my presentation.
That's amazing. So you can get kids real excited about it, and they're really motivated after your talk. What is the parents' reaction to the skilled trades now? So we got kids that are maybe motivated, maybe want to look into trades more. What's the difference when you're talking to the parents about this now?
It's very interesting. I can still remember my very first parent-student night, and it was around the same time. It was the same school board that came up with KickAss Careers, and I remember thinking that nobody was going to show up to this presentation because the students went home with flyers to tell their parents about this presentation, and because I was dressing them up and stuff, the kids were really excited. So they're the ones that actually went home and told their parents that they needed to hear this presentation, but a lot of it was because the kids got to dress up and they wanted to be chosen to dress up for my presentation. So there's been events where it's been standing room only with parents and students that showed up. But the way I engage the parents is I just talk to them about, look at me. I'm a female that's in one of the top 10 most dangerous jobs in the world, and I do it safely. I don't look like a man. I love my job, and it's offered me a life of sustainability, practical life skills. I try to tell them, you want your kid to be successful in life, tell them to take those trades classes. Every kid should have to take an auto class at school. Every kid should have to take a construction class. These should be compulsory credits. because it's those skills that is going to help them save money, develop, become independent, make a lot of money, the ability to travel. But the thing the parents don't understand, and this is where they start to turn, the wheels start to turn, is when you say, it's not about being on the tools and working full time. You get into a job, and next thing you know, you do a good job as an apprentice, you become a foreman. Once you become a foreman, you do a good job, you become a general foreman, you work your way up, and then you can take all these extra careers. Like, how many people work steady for companies, and the companies believe in them so much that they send them to school, pay for their training, pay for their education, and these people's careers have elevated. Like, all three of us on this panel are not where we thought we would start someday. So it takes you anywhere. The sky is the limit. And then the parents are like, so how do I get into skilled trades?
I love that. And so Brandy, you've talked to many students before. You talk to parents about skilled trades. What are some of the things that you try to do to inspire? Because I really feel that I think it's sometimes the parents that are holding the kids back from skilled trades. What do you think on that? And what's your comments to the parents as well, or to the students when they have parents that are like, I want you to go be a doctor or a lawyer or some university degree like you've taken?
Yeah, I think I love the parent-student events. I mean, you're saying, did they come and approach you after? A lot of times I do get parents that come up to me, which I think is wonderful, that they have an open mind, even if it's parents that have more of a traditional, white-collar job.
Yeah.
And I always stick to the facts, because I find when you start engaging a parent, and I ask them questions back, and then they'll respond, most of what they've got in their heads isn't actually a reality for us, right? So like Jamie said, kind of explaining that, it is safe to do this job. Most employers, depending on what job you do, they provide PPE. There's a lot more training. It's not like it was way back in the day, although we all love that picture of the construction workers eating lunch on the beam. That's not the reality of our world anymore, right? And also speaking to the fact of the way that this career, if you invest in yourself with a career in this skilled trades, it will grow and develop as your life changes too. So, as Jamie was saying, it's not that you're going to have to do back-breaking work for the next 45 years of your life or whatever that may be. But also, reminding them, if this is something that your child is interested in inspiring them, I always go back to my story. Like, I used to love helping my dad, but that just was not recognized, whether it was the female in me or not. And a business economics degree was very expensive that I never did anything with, except for, I went and worked in a bar before this. So, I explained to them it's important to, maybe if they're young, they don't know exactly what they want to do, but, nurture that curiosity, right? And see where it can take you. Because, it is the other 4-year degree. And I always put it to them like that. I said, I hated chemistry and math in high school, like total snooze fest. Yeah. But, when you get into refrigeration, like, wow, like when it has a practical purpose, I cannot think of anything more magical and fascinating, And I mean, to be excited to get up and to go to work every day, let's face it, we spend more time at work than most of us do with our families. Yeah. You got to love what you do, right? Yeah. So you just don't want to go punch in and work that 9-to-5 grind if it's really not for you. So yeah, I kind of stick to the facts, and, I also like to just point blank ask them, like, what are your concerns? Yeah. Like, what do you think is the reason why your child shouldn't pursue a career in this, or even just the curiosity to explore it?
What are some of the things they would say to that question when you ask them that?
There's always a safety issue. And then there's this weird thing about getting dirty. Like, oh, is it really dirty? And I'm like, yeah, some days are dirty, but it's great. Like, I find the most satisfying days are my dirtiest days. But then I could go weeks, and it's like I feel like I haven't done anything. My uniform's very clean. Because, if you're troubleshooting something or doing a lot of electrical, for our trade specifically, it's very clean work, And like Jamie said, with the advent of travel, I like to tell them, you get a red seal trade, you can take that anywhere you want to go. Yeah. It's not like you're stuck in this little pigeonhole that it's not transferable. Yeah. If you want to go anywhere in Canada, you can go. Yeah. The sky's really the limit.
Yeah, and that's what I really loved about the trade. That's why I got into the trade, is because you can travel and make money because of it, and that's what I did, right?
And as you say about the money, I think what blows my mind is the parents always like, yeah, but you don't make very good money. Yeah. And I mean, my benefit package was better than my father's. He was a master electrician, right? I hate to say it, but in my latter days, when I was still in the service van, I made more money, and the pension, it really blows their mind when you put the numbers out and they kind of look at you and they're like, no. And it's like, yeah. Like, you know, I have a horrible like bag and sunglass obsession. You know, like, you know.
Yeah, no, but that's one thing about the trades, and that I really feel that there's so many benefits that we can talk to people about, younger people, older people. I see more and more people over 30 getting into trades now because they went to university, they tried a few careers, and they were still stuck at their dead-end job making their 25 bucks an hour or 30 bucks an hour, which is not a bad wage, but it's nothing close to what you can make as a tradesperson. You know, and you can't just take your business diploma or your business degree and say, okay, I want to move to Australia for a year and go get a job there.
And I'll just add one more thing to that. It's funny because in the time that I got in, HVAC was recession proof, right? Yeah. And another thing I don't think people realize is we can all vouch for this. It's definitely pandemic proof.
Yeah.
You know, I've picked up 2 other jobs during the pandemic, you know, in my trade.
Yeah.
So, I mean, really, and when you want to speak to parents about longevity of your career, wouldn't you hate to see somebody, you know, spend all of that time and money, and then when the whole world shut down, all of a sudden you're out of a job and unable to even pay for that student loan? Yeah. I mean, you know, we were the ones that were still working. We were the frontliners, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That is awesome. So let's talk about KickAss Careers and where you want to go, and how can we help more people, and how can we get other people involved to really, you know, spread the message of, you know, we need to help more youth, educate more youth, inspire more youth to think about trades. And it doesn't matter, like, I'm biased, you should be getting a refrigeration trade. You know, you should be getting a refrigeration, but what do we need to do collectively to get more people involved in the trades? Because you said, Brandy, 46% of the work's going to be
the last
tradesmen?
data is 48%.
48%.
Yeah, can you imagine? Over almost half the work in Ontario is going to be skilled trades based.
Wow.
Yeah, that's just, I mean, based on obviously our infrastructure growing and the amount of current tradespeople retiring.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So for KickAss Careers, what can other people do? What can we do? And what can I do? And what are you trying to do to really help inspire and educate more of these students going forward?
So we're doing a number of things through KickAss Careers. We have a lot of things in the works right now. We're just starting to really build momentum. So right now we're focusing on building a team. We're building partnerships. I don't want KickAss Careers I never wanted to just promote Ironworker or boilermaker just because those are my trades. I am so passionate about every single trade, every hands-on career, whether it's mechanical, industrial, technology, construction. We need these. We cannot survive in this world without all these people working together. And so we're about building this team that promote all opportunities for youth and to engage them to get into this. And I just want to say something. Those technical schools that we passed, that people thought were like the dumb kids in school, I was that dumb kid in that technical school. And I'll tell you, I have ADHD. Construction is the best medication for ADHD. I will tell you that. And we are creative, we are fun, we are smart. And honestly, ADHD in the construction industry is a superpower. I just wanted to put that out there. So we can multitask like nobody else can. But we want to have representatives all across North America, maybe globally. Who knows how this is going to turn out. But we want to build relationships with companies, employers. We want to build a team. And the more that we build this team, we support and promote each other, we start to change the whole industry as a whole. My biggest goal in all of this is that when we reach the younger students and get them inspired to grow up in this skilled trade and teach them how we should behave, the type of mental health behaviors we should recognize and help to change in the workplace, when we talk to them about financial literacy and having those practical life skills and how they should treat each other with respect. We want inclusive work cultures. If we can start teaching these little kids right now with this team of people and partners, I can foresee a huge change in the industry. We need to change the culture of the industry. It is not always a pretty place. I love construction, but we deal with stuff.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have to deal with. And when we get that inclusive work culture, I really believe that educating those little kids so that when they're older, they're going to recognize that, oh, I remember this person that came to my school that talked about this, and I want to create that work culture to be inclusive and friendly and fun. And I think we're setting up the industry for a huge, massive change by educating them young and getting them into this industry.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. That's why I'm really proud to be part of the team and really excited of what we're going to do and accomplish. What are a couple of things, Brandy, that you wish you would have known before you got into trade, so you can like help some younger people maybe that are thinking, oh, should I go to university? I don't know what to do, because I have some nieces, they're not sure what to do. Should I go to university? And I keep saying, get into trades. So what are one or two things that maybe would have helped you, or that you wish you would have known earlier in your career?
Well, obviously, I just wish I would have known it was an option. I mean, when I went to high school, I was allowed to take home ec, not shop.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, it wasn't even an option. I would say, too, the other thing is when I finally did, as I said, my path was a bit of a zigzag. When I did actually start in the trade, though, and I was working on the tools, one of the things I do look back and wish I would have known is that I think, especially maybe in the time I started, like I was like almost, over 15 years ago in HVAC, I had this weird idea that I was just grateful to have the job because I was a female, and that really I didn't have the opportunity to move somewhere else when I was starting to become unhappy. So I wish I really would have kind of owned more the fact that there was other opportunities out there, and if you're not excited to get up and go to work every day for whatever the reason might be, it might be time to make a change, because not every company is the same.
Yeah.
So I think that's important too. Just because you might have a bad experience one place doesn't mean that the next place will be like that.
Yeah.
And as Jamie's saying too, like I think the industry's changing a lot, and her work is so important to change that culture and how people perceive everyone that they work with. Even I teach part-time, and I love that I mostly have male students, but I think just being a female instructor with my credentials, it's not going to be weird to them when they see a female on the construction site, and that'll change their perception too of that, which is good.
And that's amazing. I love that. And how about you, Jamie? What are like one or two things you wish you would have known earlier in your career to really maybe help you get to where you are today, that maybe somebody out there would want to know?
Absolutely. So I feel the same way as Brandy did. I didn't know about it in high school, and I was in the technical programs. I was in a double woodworking shop class, and I kicked everyone's ass in that class. I literally, all the guys built a gun rack, and I built a 7-foot-high bed with a closet, a shelves, a desk with drawers, and a ladder to get to the top. And
yes,
nobody
awesome.
said to me, Jamie, you could be in skilled trades. No one said you're handy. No one even said, hey, you can take a college pathway and be in any skilled trade that you want to be. They were like, you should be a nurse or a secretary or, do some kind of admin. Nobody told me. If I would have known in high school, I would probably have not gone to the smoke pit to hang out with the bad crowd. I probably would have actually pursued something. And I do regret that. And I wish I could go back sometimes and change it. However, if I did change that, I went back in time to change it, I wouldn't be where I am now. I wouldn't be so hyper vigilant and focused on promoting these skilled trade pathways to anybody else. So I truly believe that we had a pathway that we had to take for a reason to get us to where we are today. Absolutely. So that we could focus on different things. Because I'll tell you, we all hated COVID. But you know what it taught me? It taught me that mental health is so important, and not only did it change the way I present to people now, I'm actually working with an organization now to create a mental health program to talk to kids and high school students and pre-apprentices and apprentices and anybody in the industry about how to deal with different types of personalities in the workplace, because we all deal with some pretty mean people at the job site. I don't know how much I could say on here, but we deal with really different personalities, and learning how to work with them and understand them, and working and navigating and agreeing to disagree and still working together as a team. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if we like each other or not. We have to work together. Yeah. We need production. So that's where we're heading now with some of our talks with KickAss Careers.
That's amazing, because I think the hardest part of any job is the soft skills. People don't think about that, but the soft skills, the communication, the understanding, the compassion, the gratitude, the hard skills, like doing the work, is the easy stuff. It's the soft skills that I believe that's probably the hardest, that most people need to work on. I love this. Any final thoughts, Brandy?
I don't know. I think just I'm loving this new kind of wave that started over the last few years. I think social media has become a powerful tool for many reasons. I do think we have to, still take it at face value. Not everything that you see on the internet is real. And I do think it's great, especially, I met, actually I didn't tell you how this is going to be my final thought. She doesn't remember, but I was writing my C of Q at Mohawk in Stony Creek, and it was literally the day I was writing my C of Q. And the local paper did an article on Jamie, and I got this little tiny tagline at the end because I was the only female through the whole Refrig program, and I was going to be graduating that day. And it was kind of like this little rock star moment because before social media, it was like, oh my God, there's this other girl, you know? It was like so amazing. And so, yeah, and that was like back in, I was like 20, it was 2013 actually. So it's funny of how things come full circle. You know, and I didn't really know Jamie as a person, and we kind of connected later on through another mutual friend. But, you know, I see this change, and I'm loving it, and I'm loving the whole thing of, you know, bringing up that younger generation, like right from the get-go and getting them in. I mean, think of where we would be if we started in the skilled trades at 18 right out of high school. I mean, it just blows my mind, right?
Yeah.
So, and even yourself, Trevor, very important work that you're doing, and yeah, another rock star. So,
Thank
so
you.
Privileged to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Any final thoughts, Jamie?
I had a final thought that I wanted to say and kind of lost it. But
That's okay.
yeah, I love skilled trades. We have to realize that jobs don't have genders. If you have the passion and the ability, the work ethic, the drive, why does it matter what you do? The jobs should just be for everybody. And I don't even consider that this is not a job. This is a career. This is a life choice. This is something incredible. And you get into skilled trades, and I'm telling you, the sky's the limit. I have had the best opportunities, this life that I have been given and blessed with because of skilled trades. I mean, I've worked across Canada. I've built gas and oil plants. I've built mines in Saskatchewan. And where else would I have done that? And where else would I have met incredible people like you guys? We're here together today because skilled trades brought us together. So
Awesome.
It's amazing. And I met Brandy through promotion and through skilled trades and through women in trades events and on social media.
Love it.
I just want to say one thing though, because this is something else I'm passionate about. When it comes to social media, let's represent the trades as they are, please. It's very important that we represent it accurately because we're looking for inclusive work sites and work cultures, and we need to represent that way online as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, Brandy, where can people get a hold of you at? If they want to get in touch, they want to learn more about skilled trades, learn more about Brandy.
Yeah, I'm all over that place. Just Google me. But I'm on Instagram as Chiller Chick, and as well, as I said, I work for Support Ontario Youth. So all of my contact info is on their website at supportontarioyouth.ca.
Awesome. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Brandy. Jamie, how about you? How can anybody get in touch with you if they want to reach out to find out more about KickAss Careers, about Jamie McMillian?
Absolutely. So it's easy, kickasscareers.org or .ca. It'll bring you to the same place. We have all our social media links there. You can find us there. And if you're looking to reach out to me, I'm on LinkedIn as myself, as KickAss Careers. Or you can actually reach all of us just by going to the website because everybody's contact information is on there. So yeah, follow us, check us out. We have a lot of fun with our team.
Awesome. I want to thank both of you so much. So grateful for both of you being here with me today. And thank you again.
Thanks, Trevor.
This was an honor. Thank you. I'm at an HVAC conference.